guys, welcome back. George and I are here to say hi. Say hi, Georgia. Can you say hi? Yeah? Huh? We ain't got no treat, huh? Alright, well, this is Georgia, and welcome back to my channel, Trailblazer of Light. This is the second part to the first part that I had just videoed, and I had to take a minute and concentrate and think about what needed to be said next, because it's very complicated, but it's a very important part of my journey, and it needs to be mentioned, because I know it's going to be very helpful to some people out there, and God put it on my heart to share my story, and so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so we left off with my narcissist. And I do call him my narcissist because he is my narcissist. He's no longer my narcissist, but he was my narcissist. And so we left off with him doing a lot of gaslighting and love bombing, and making me feel made me feel insecure about myself. My self-esteem at this time had gone down. My emotional well-being was just really wrecked, to the point where I had gone on some meds to help me, thinking, because I needed some meds, so I went on some meds. And during this time I was clean and sober. It's been 3 years, so clean and sober 18 years, and he had me questioning myself and thinking I was the problem. And that was really odd for me. And so I did go back on some meds, but I don't really consider that as breaking my sobriety or in any way, as far as the clean part goes, because I was doing it because I really thought I had some mental health issues that I needed to work on. And so I was on those meds for about a week, and those meds made me feel really bad, which is why I got off of them a long time ago to begin with, because they were giving me suicidal thoughts. I wanted to jump out in front of a bus, and I wanted to die. Like, there was nothing for me left to live for. I was just really so caught up in a deep funk and a depression. He had put me in this state of mind where I just wanted to die. Literally, I just wanted to die. And I didn't want to be here anymore. And so he said, I told him I was getting off the med because it was really bad. He says, well, why don't you go on smoking some pot? And I was like, yeah, because I remember being on pot a long time ago in the beginning of my my journey, when I got off pain meds. And because I'm clean and sober, going to be 21 years this May 9th. And so I said, he says, because you've already wrecked your sobriety anyway by going on those meds. And I don't know why I didn't question that. Like, I was just like, yeah, you're right, I did, didn't I? So I picked up smoking pot, and I'm talking to God and all this stuff during this time, begging for a way out. Got to get me out of here. I had this love-hate relationship for this guy, and here I am taking advice from this real piece of work, okay? And I am just, the love was just really love-hate at this point in time. Like, I loved him, but I hated him too. And so God knew what was going on. He knew what was going on behind the scenes. He knew what was going on with him and his nephew, who had now come into the scene. And his nephew had come in and was also being pushed into part of the relationship aspect of it, because now he's bringing people into the house and getting me stirred up, and then getting me to say something. And then I'd say something, and then he'd sit there and say, see, I told you she was crazy. And so he was turning everybody against me, all the people in the neighborhood. Just, it was just really just messed up. I mean, so now he's sitting there bringing this other family member into the dynamics of it, and he came over one time and said that he felt like somebody had cast a spell on him and put him into a situation, and so he brought over some paperwork, and I was like, yeah, I can pray over you. Let me pray over you. Let me help you out with this. And so he brought this notebook, and it had all kinds of stuff in there that if it was his belief system where he felt like he was actually being triggered, he was being manipulated or having magic on him. And so I prayed with him, and come to find out that him and my ex were plotting against me this whole time, with these magic casting spells and stuff. So his nephew was into black magic, and they were out there in the garage doing stuff to cause harm to me, and which was actually was working, because I can't prove any of it. I think I was being poisoned. I can't prove any of it. But I was sick all the time. I was getting hurt all the time. I broke my wrist. I fell on my head and cracked it open. I had fallen and on my good arm, and ended up getting tennis elbow. Oh my God, I'm still dealing with that, and it's like 6 years later, I'm still dealing with that. And so come to find out, all these things are going on behind the scenes, and God saw it all. And so one day I was talking to God, and I was asking, oh, and I did start smoking pot. Yeah, I did start smoking pot, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. I was spending a lot of money on pot. And I was trying to smoke with him and thought maybe that would be like a way to get us reconnected, and it wasn't. It was just another tool for him to use against, against me. And see, I told you you were crazy and all this other stuff. And so I was talking to God, and God said, I'll let you smoke this pot for now. He says, but I'm going to ask you to quit it shortly. And so I respected that, and I valued that conversation with God to the point where I did end up giving that up too. But I needed it to get me through this part of it, and God knew that. And so when he came home one day, well, there's 3 days. God gave me a Groundhog Day for 3 days. And in this Groundhog Day, 3-day event, God lifted the veil and allowed me to see what was really going on, truly what was going on. All of it. The lying, the sneaking, the cheating, the smoking dope with little girls, going across the street, partying over there, allowing them to come over here to our house at the time and party over there, out in the garage, and other things that eventually came to my attention. But like I said, I had my own part in that journey, and I'll take full responsibility for myself, and whatever he did is on him. So on this 3-day part of it, he would come home, and he would greet Georgia, and he'd play with her, love bomb her, and all this stuff, and then go into the bedroom. And so I said, I wanted some attention. I'd go in there. All he wanted was to fool around, and I would get up, because it's not what I was looking for. And so the second day was the same thing. He'd come home, love bomb the dog, ignore me, go into the bedroom. If you want attention, come in here. And I did, and it was the same thing 3 days in a row. And on that third day, when I went in the room and was just wanting to, be held or something, anything, and he didn't, and it was that same sentence, if you want some attention, and it was like a light bulb moment, and I went, F you. I got up, and I said, I'm out. And I turned at him too, and I said, you know what, you're going to find when I leave, and I'm all done, by the way, I'm out. I'm all done. And I said, when I leave, you are going to be alone. And you are going to find somebody that you really love and care about, and they're going to pull the same damn shit you've been pulling on me. Good luck with that, because karma's a bitch. And I got on the phone and I started making some phone calls and started selling my stuff. Um, and putting it on Marketplace. I started giving stuff away. I mean, I'm a prepper for the end time, so I had a lot of food. I had a lot of camping stuff. I had stuff that was preparation for the end days, and I was giving it all away. And I had a vehicle that we had been working on. I had bought it with my stimulus check, and he had been fixing it up for me for my birthday gift or Christmas gift, whatever, so to say. And so I told him, I said, I'm not leaving that here for you to get the money from it and the proceeds from it. I said, that's coming with, I'm not, I want to sell it before I leave. And so I put a lot of time and energy and money into that vehicle, and I was not going to leave it behind with him. And so I made a deal with him because I had paid up rent. I had to wait like 6 months ahead of rent. I said, look, I said, I'm going to be out of here, and I'm going to take all that rent money that has been paid up ahead, and you need to fix this vehicle for me, and you won't have to pay me back that. And so I paid him to fix that vehicle, only for him to sabotage it, because in Maine you can't sell a vehicle with the airbag light on the dash. And so it was useless. It was all that money I'd put into it was useless at this time. And so I got on the phone with my daughter, and she says, that stuff don't matter down here. I was like, well, that's good, because guess what? I'm transporting that vehicle down there because he ain't getting it. And so I transported that vehicle down to Georgia, and he didn't get it. So on a crazy note, which was really cool, was I behaved myself through this whole time, because now I started seeing his ways and stuff. Sorry about that. I keep getting cut off on my time, as I'm only allowed a certain time on my phone. So much storage space. I had to go clear up some stuff. So anyway, as I was saying, I had continued to behave myself. I started seeing his tactics, his way of getting to reel me in and cast me out. I started paying closer attention, so he couldn't do that to me anymore, and start fights that were unnecessary, because I think he was an energy sucker, and he would do stuff to get me to react. He would sit there and smirk at me, just tantalize me and stuff into trying to get me to go off. And I stopped playing that game. I wasn't giving him any more of my time and energy. No more, I was done. And so I had got my car, headed down to Georgia, but that wasn't until he had come home and he said that he was going to Florida with his mother. And I was like, yeah, okay, have fun, do what you gotta do. And during this time, I'd finished selling what I could, giving away all the stuff that I didn't want him to have. I didn't want him to have anything, but unfortunately, I was doing all this all by myself. I didn't have anybody to help me. And I did actually ask an ex-boyfriend of mine to help me put the storage thing on top of my car so I could put stuff in there, and he helped load up my car, and which I thank him for that. He was a really good friend to do that for me. He didn't have to, but he did. And because I didn't have anybody. The neighbors, nobody was there. He had turned everybody against me. The gossip, it had just wrecked my reputation and drug me through the mud. And so I had to leave. It was necessary anyway, besides that. But he had made it really impossible for me to reach out to anybody when I needed to reach out and ask for help. So things had gotten left behind, but I'd given that to God and considered it a tithe. And I cleaned that house after when he was gone to Florida. I cleaned that house. I didn't. I made sure I had somebody come in with me, and we videoed the place. I made sure he got his keys back. I made sure that there wasn't anything that he could come back from Florida and say, "Oh, you did this," and there was nothing. There's nothing. I had proof. I even had called the cops and everything. So I had made a clean break, and God was pretty proud of me for that, and I'm pretty proud of myself for that too. So um, it just worked out in my favor towards the end of it. And so on that note, um, I'm gonna leave it there because the next part of it is really important too. It's the next part of the journey. But I just am so grateful to just be able to share this part of my journey. I didn't really think it was going to be this freeing and emotionally justifiable, but it really truly is. And I'm glad God talked me into it, and I'm glad to be sharing this part of my journey with you and sharing my story, because I really do believe it's going to help somebody out there. Um, I really just I blocked and deleted him, and while he was gone in Florida, I I blocked and deleted all of his family members. I blocked and deleted him. I just cut all ties and called that a project. And I haven't talked to him 3 years now. No contact with a narcissist, no contact. And so when he came home from Florida, I was gone. But he came home to a clean house. I even cleaned the refrigerator, man. I cleaned the refrigerator. And so he came home to a clean house, but it was empty. And I was gone. Everything that had a piece of me that was personally mine was no longer there. And I shut him out from that day on. All right, I'm going to end with that. And if anything of this was of value, please like, share, and add me to subscribe, and it helps get this message across to other people out there who might need it. All right, thanks everybody. All right, bye.